It's Song Talk Radio with Michael, Neil, Phil, and the gang.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. That is the hope. I'm your host, Mike Proudfoot, and with me are the other members of the Song Talk Radio Action Team. My co-host, Phil Emery. Hello, Phil. How are you?
Hello. I am doing just fine and dandy. In fact, maybe a bit more dandy than fine, but that's okay.
At least you've got both going on, so I appreciate that. And Neil Modi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It might have been the Zoom connection, but I could swear that you said the crap of songwriting.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the craft.
The craft? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just so we're on the same page.
No, I mean the craft of songwriting. I don't need any tips or techniques on how to be crap at
songwriting? Yeah, we all know how to do that.
That's easy.
Record.
So all of you out there during this show, please feel free to send in your comments and your questions to @SongTalkRadio on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, or at feedback@songtalk.ca, and we'll share them with the rest of the audience. And visit us at songtalk.ca to find out how you might be a guest on the show. Tonight, we're very pleased to welcome all the way from Hamilton, acclaimed singer-songwriter Jacob Moon. Welcome, Jacob.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Great to have you back, Jacob.
We're good.
Hey, it's good to be back. It's been a few years.
It's been a little too long, yeah.
Well, 2016, I think, was when you were on the show last.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's a few haircuts ago, yeah.
You. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jacob, after graduating with a degree in music, Jacob taught guitar lessons while pursuing a career in music. He has won and been nominated for several prestigious music industry awards as both a performer and a songwriter. His touring schedule took off after the 2002 release of his independently produced Landing album, where he played venues across Canada and the United States. And though he does sometimes perform with a full band and sometimes as a session guitarist, Jacob is known primarily as a solo artist, and his live performances feature extended use of live looping. So do yourself a favor and check out his YouTube site. It'll blow you away. Oh, yeah. And his skill at looping is what we're mainly going to talk about on today's show. Welcome, Jacob.
Good to be here.
I'm particularly excited about this because I've seen you play, but I've also seen other people use looping pedals, and it fascinates and enthralls and somewhat mystifies me. So hopefully you can explain how it works and how to best make use of it. How did you start using looping pedals?
You know what? I was playing in bars late at night in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I was kind of facing a bit of an indifferent audience. They were watching the hockey game on the TV right above my head as I was playing. And I thought I got to do something to get their attention. And then I heard about this live looping rack mount unit called the Jam Man, which is kind of the prototypical looping device of the last 25 years or so. And I thought, I have to have it. I have to get it, and it's going to blow everyone's minds. I'm going to walk into that bar, I'm going to start looping. I take my hands off the instrument, and music will still be playing. The heads will explode all around the room. And the first night I tried it, and no one even noticed that I was using it. It totally, which is fine actually, because when you're first starting to use a loop pedal, it has basically three messages for you. Your ideas are not worth recording. Your timing is terrible, and you should practice probably. So that's kind of what I learned from it. Anyways, was that it's a great way to screw up. It's a great way to introduce technology to your show that will help you screw up more in front of people.
For people who are looking into getting into loop pedals, and I'm sure you've tried tons of them over the last little while, do you have any suggestions on things we should look at when we're looking for a loop pedal?
Make it really simple at the beginning, because the Jam Man that I had was super, super simple. It had literally like a record button and a kill button, and that was all it had. And it was so I like the idea of even one pedal. So there's something called a Ditto, which is a great little pedal that you can get for like less than $100, I think, and it will help you do just really cheap and cheerful live looping. Get you used to the idea of stomping on beat one of the 4-bar phrase or whatever, and then stomping on beat one of bar 5, and doing that even though your hands are doing something else, and you're singing while you're doing it, So it takes a bit of coordination. It's a bit of a choreography lesson when you first start doing it, for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned timing, and that was always something when I played around with it that I found very difficult. Is getting it right getting it on at the right time and getting it off at the right time.
Yeah, that's what makes the looping seamless, and that's what you're trying to present to the audience. I mean, I've never tried to call a tremendous amount of attention to the looping. I don't usually talk about it in my shows. I just do it, and people can sort of imagine I'm doing whatever they think I'm doing up there, but I want it to be kind of a seamless instrument to help me realize my compositional goals for the song in a live context. Because I mean, oftentimes when it's just us and acoustic guitar, we get on stage, you know, we can strum our 4 chords and tell our stories, but no one expects to hear the thump of a kick drum or the percussive, beating on a guitar while you're also playing the instrument, or that you can take a solo as well as play the rhythm guitar. It's one or it's the other, right? Mm-hmm. And that was never an acceptable bargain to me. I just always thought I should be allowed to do all of it, and and just keep the ideas that I brought to the studio for the studio recording of the song and import some of those onto the stage performance of it.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I've always mentioned you to other people if they're interested in looping. So go check out Jacob Moon's YouTube channel, because he has a few videos where he does some live looping. It's really cool. And the great thing is that you always support the song. Like you're always in service of the song comes first, and then the looping is not a gimmick. It's not, it's not a flashy thing. And not to say that other people do that, but a lot of people, like you say, make it obvious that they're using a looper, especially the people that do the entirely vocal compositions, which are really, really cool. But it's the looper is very much a feature of their performance in that sense.
It is. I think oftentimes the way people use loopers can be, they sort of have one progression that they set up at the beginning, and they're kind of building a steady kind of it's kind of getting bigger and bigger in this kind of wall of sound by the end of the song kind of thing. And then it's really obvious that that's what's happening, is that the looping is kind of just aggregating sound to the end of the timeline. I like the idea of sections of the song being looped and then abandoned and then erased, and then new sections of the song within the same 4 or 5 minute song. Oh, wow. That you've got a few different sections that are being looped, so that you can. Because my idea is if you're playing the same progression any more than 2 to 4 times, then that's prime territory for it to be looped, because then you can take your hands off of that part and start maybe soloing or adding in some higher parts or percussing or something, you know what I mean? Or it just kind of gives you a little more freedom, or maybe just reach out to the audience. Because a lot of times loopers are they'll do this, they kind of look down and play a lot because they're working, right? They're working on getting it all together. And to be available to the audience is sometimes a good thing. And just by looping, I think Ed Sheeran is particularly good at that. Just by looping, it kind of frees them up, to kind of move around even, so.
And when you're performing live, do you have certain songs that you loop and certain songs that you don't? Or
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. How do you decide which?
Yeah, I like to keep it kind of, I think, if I just did looping, maybe I'd attract more of that looping community. But I always feel this kinship, as you guys do, to the songwriter, and I feel a certain burden of responsibility to the song that I'm singing. Does it need looping? If it doesn't, why am I looping? You know what I mean? Just for the sake of looping? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to make sure that the looper is always enhancing and making whatever it is I'm trying to do that much better.
Mm-hmm. When you started using a looping pedal, did it change the way you wrote songs?
It did, actually. Yeah, I started to see that you could. I always kind of came back to the looper to see. I'd write the song and then I'd sort of say, well, is this a song that I can loop with? And sometimes that would lead to innovations, especially with this song that I was kind of proposing to do tonight, a song called The Great Beyond. It started as just kind of an exploration of an alternate tuning on the guitar. And the tuning in question is G minor. Mm-hmm. And G minor is just from low to high is just D, G, G, D, D, G, D, G, B flat, D. And when you do that, you get a minor chord. and it kind of it produces kind of a drone almost on top of the changing bass notes. That you can kind of have just these top few strings kind of ringing out, and the interpretation of those notes changes with the changing bass lines kind of thing. And so I was kind of attracted to that. I thought it was a nice idea to kind of have, as an acoustic guitar player, as many open strings as I can have as possible is a really good thing to draw out the ringing quality of the instrument. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes alternate tunings are a good gateway to that. And I started writing the song just as a riff. It was just like I just had that. That was all I had. And then it kind of, and it's like, that's not a song. That's just a riff in a song. Like, what is the song? And then once I asked that question, the song kind of revealed itself to me, which is kind of fun.
Well, why don't we take a listen? And if possible, or I don't know how we can see what you do with the pedal at the same time.
Well, maybe I'll have Gabriel, my young son here, help me to guide the camera lens to things that are interesting that are happening at my feet, and maybe back to where I'm singing and stuff like that. So,
and if it helps, feel free to stop and start or whatever.
Yeah. I'll just play the song and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
It's okay. Here we go. Let's try it. You won't break it. Here we go. With your feet on the ledge, gonna feel like the edge of the universe. Looking down, now you get it, feel the spin in your head. It's like an insane urge to jump out of the skin, to jump out of the skin. When you fall, when you're feeling it all, when your feet touch ground, when your soul take flight like you waited all your life to be outward bound, to see what no one sees, to touch the mystery. Hey, can you see me now? Moving smaller in your window, for something deep inside me leads me on into the great beyond. You hear the sound of the cars and you know where you are, where you've always been. In the world of space and time, don't you find that it pulls you in? Every day's the same. Every day's the same. Well, I always believed that there was something more, a piece of heaven that I never had an explanation for. 'Cause everything that is points to more than this. Can you hear me now? I've been following the whisper that calls my name. I know that it's leading me on, when my own reflection is gone, into the great beyond. All right, Gabe, come on after. Everything that is
was awesome.
Yeah, super fantastic.
You know, it's you do the show a long time. You spend most of your time listening to the song and analyzing the song. I forgot to analyze the song. I was so into it.
So can you do it over then?
Maybe Jacob, you could just go back to there was quite a bit of looping, especially obviously in the second half of that, especially when you started soloing and stuff, right? So this is the first question: is at any given moment, what were the most number of layers you had going? I heard.
Oh, maybe 4.
4.
Yeah,
Okay.
and what'll happen is once you start recording, and you leave it in kind of like overdub mode,
right?
As long as that red light is on, it's picking up everything you're doing every time it goes over those 4 bars, or 2 bars, whatever it is. Actually, it's 2 bars most of the time. Whether you're talking about like that off the top, I'll do that as a loop. So I'll go, and then I'll kill the loop. I'll do the. Then I have that as a loop, and I can change the bass notes, and that loop keeps going. Right, so now it's kind of the G bass kind of thing, and then an F bass, and then a D bass. But it's just the idea that you kind of have this. Otherwise, I'd have to play the whole thing up here.
Yeah.
The bass notes would not be bass notes at all. They'd just be kind of root notes up high, which doesn't have the same weight as root notes down low. So the innovation was necessary to loop there, because if I didn't, I couldn't get these low notes and the high notes in the same. It just makes expanding the guitar so that the high stuff up in the high frets and the stuff in the lower frets can all be of a piece.
Have you played around with 7-string guitars yet?
No, too intimidated by those 7-string guitars.
Have you ever played around with half capos?
And half capos, yep, a little bit. Kind of play, but again, they're perfect tools for certain situations.
For very specific things, yeah.
And then there's all kinds of other situations where they let you down and as a general tool, yeah.
Interesting.
I think, it's good. It's good to just stick with the good old capo for the most part. I mean, people write whole songs around cut capos and stuff just to kind of, and it can spark creativity. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just I personally couldn't come at the song that way.
Right.
What is the looper pedal that you're using? Because it looks like
I am using the show here, Gabe.
It has a lot of tracks, doesn't it? More than just a single.
I'll have Gabe just show you here.
All right.
So this is the RC300, the Boss RC300 right here. It's got 3 different tracks that you can use, and you can turn them on, turn them off. You have levels over here that you can set in advance. You can kind of change the levels with this volume pedal, which can be assigned essentially as it's an expression pedal that can express anything, even effects, parameters, tempo, rhythm volume, because you can get kind of a rhythm track going. He wanted to use that. I don't tend to use that, drum machines and stuff, because they're not quite good enough in this one to really be convincing. But it will give you a hi-hat sometimes, which is kind of a nice thing to have. Just the hat sound is, I think, a pleasant sound, and it's not too intrusive, I feel. So
pick up a chorus or something.
I remember before, Jacob, you had like this bar on the ground that was like your kick drum.
Yeah, I've moved from using that thing to here. Come back to the face again. I've moved from using the that big long brown thing, which is called the porch board bass, to using a Roland SPD1, which has kick drums and various other percussion instruments built into it, and it's touch sensitive.
Right.
So it's smaller footprint too.
Don't notice it.
It takes up the whole stage, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to lug it around too, which is
kind of no fun, actually. Yeah. So, although now I make my son lug it around, so it's not.
That's why you have children, after all.
Why you have children, so they can carry things for you in your decrepitude.
You also use your guitar as a percussive device for looping as well. You're tapping on the fretboard, you're tapping on the body to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of you can get all kinds of stuff going with it. I'll use digital delay as a way of keeping time. So without even thinking about it, I happened to fall into this exact tempo my digital delay was set at, because it's actually the setting for the song. So after a while, you start to memorize tempo. Actually, when you're using these devices, you kind of remember the tempo. Like you could go, that's the tempo of the song, and then you play it, and yeah, actually, it was the tempo of the song because you memorized it the way people memorize lyrics or chords or whatever. You can memorize tempo too, and then use that tempo to use the digital delay as a way of kind of adding a little bit of extra of body and dimension and syncopation to the loops that you've created. So this drum beat is not just a drum beat. It's also cat. I didn't play that, but the digital delay is introducing it because I've set it to a dotted eighth note, and I could turn it off and it would just be nothing there. But it's kind of it's a fun way to kind of to add something into the show that people weren't expecting, because people come to shows with expectations. And this is kind of where I probably diverge from all your other songwriter guests, or many of them anyways, is that I always thought, if I'm going to be up there like singing my songs, is it a sin to also entertain people who are in the audience? Do you know what I mean? Or does it just have to be a guy in a plaid shirt, singing a bunch of Canadiana? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there room for more to happen in the show? And would the audience permit it? Would the audience actually be offended if I looped?
Yeah, you're cheating.
Cheating, yeah. And I discovered that audiences aren't like that. Purists are like that.
Yeah.
And there's always somebody out there, and you can't let that get in your head. I think ultimately you just have to kind of be authentically yourself. And this has been me for 25 years, doing this looping stuff. So it really is me and who I've kind of grown into as a musician. And it's not a gimmick. It's just a tool. It's like a distortion pedal. What are you going to do with it? What music are you going to make on it? Because a lot of guys have looper pedals now. It's not. I'm not a unique guy just because I have this thing. But it's just what musicality can you bring to the device? And that's ultimately the final arbiter of what
it's always in degrees. I mean, I saw this meme. I saw this meme on social media a couple of weeks ago that said, I decided not to use drum loops because someone said it was cheating. So then I bought my own drum kit. But then someone said that was cheating. So then I decided to skin my own goat in order to make drum heads. That was cheating, and that was cheating. So then I started a goat farm and started raising sheep and goat so I could make the thing. But then I stopped making music because now I'm busy farming.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's authentic.
He's being authentic. Yeah, exactly, right?
So, Jacob, do you have any tips for people just getting into looping, stuff that maybe you've learned along the way that you wish you knew when you started?
If you're getting into looping, I think the thing to start with is to just get really good at kind of looping, playing to your own loops. You may not have a metronomic sense of time, but your time is uniquely yours, right? It may not be perfect. You can make it more perfect by practice and by using the built-in drum machine of devices like this, and you can start to kind of think almost like a machine drummer that way, and almost feel that in your bones. But it's about getting your limbs to respond. It's like a drummer, right? A drummer, their limbs they may have a perfect sense of internal time, but their limbs are jokers, right? They're kind of like, they're flailing all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Plates, right? And so our feet are jokers sometimes. And sometimes we forget what to do with our hands when we're thinking about what's happening with our feet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Is it because it's time for the show to end? Oh my God! Really?
Too fast.
I had so much more I wanted to ask you.
Oh,
well,
do it again.
We will do it again and much sooner. Before we go, so are you able to play in this time of COVID? Or are you doing on?
I'm doing live streams almost every day.
Oh, so that's great.
And they're fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Neil, and thanks for being part of them, man.
I'm enjoying them all.
It's amazing. I love the fact that you're in the audience because I know that somebody's out there really listening deeply to it. It's intimidating sometimes, but I appreciate you being there.
It's great to have you on, but I'm afraid that's all the time we have tonight on Song Talk Radio. So thank you for joining us.
Very informative. Very informative.
Yeah, very good. For you out there, please send us your impressions on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. at Song Talk Radio, or email at feedback@songtalkradio, and be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. And also, you got to check out Jacob's YouTube channel. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
For us, subscribe to Song Talk Radio Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcasty things. And for references and books and services, go to our website, songtalk.ca, and it'll be there. And also coming up at the end of August 24th, from 7 to 10 p.m., live online, we're doing a Song Talk meetup where you can present your song and talk to other musicians in a songwriter circle feedback. It's free to join at meetup.com and free to attend the meetup. So drop by songtalk.ca for a link to the meetup. And if you want even more of us, well, you can find Neil. Where can we find you, Neil?
neilmodi.com.
That's nice and simple. Phil, how about you?
Follow me on the Phil Emery on Twitter.
And Jacob, what is the best social media way to reach you? Where would you like us to get to?
Yeah, facebook.com/JacobMoonMusic.
Sounds good. And me on Instagram, Proudfoot420. So that is it. Please stop by the website at songtalk.ca to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. And keep on writing. Good night, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye. Yeah, I guess
Right.
All right. The light from my computer seems exceptionally bright today.
Okay. I always have my blinds shut, or else it would be like blasting the side of my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, well, you can tell when the sun goes down because it gets less hot this way. Because
Yes.
at our earlier time at 6 o'clock, or if we did it at 5:30, it'd just
Oh yeah.
be bang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was great.
That was fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we just get into stuff and it's over,
I know.
Yeah.
I had an interesting suggestion from a listener
Yeah.
saying that maybe because it's a half an hour format, we don't do the full paragraph intro. Because it does chew up time, maybe just asking the guests to sort of say, well, who are you, or something like that.
That may
Okay,
end
yeah.
up taking longer if they go on a.
That's possible.
Yeah, or the extra, same sort of thing. I mean,
yeah,
it's only
to be
about
honest,
2 or 3 minutes.
Most of the time when they submit their paragraph, I usually cut it down.
Yeah, so do I.
I just edit the crap out of it and make it nice and tight and succinct. I don't know if that takes. It does take a chunk of time, but I don't know.
Well,
It's only a couple of minutes, but
Every couple of minutes counts when you're.
it does with half an hour.
yeah.
But I don't know. That still seemed like for half an hour, it was still quite solid, entertaining, and very informative.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, it's like that's a good one to rewatch because he was doing a lot of stuff and like.
Yeah, exactly. It's too bad with the technical issues because it wasn't always in sync, so you couldn't tell what was connected. But still good.
Yeah, I could swear he's got a YouTube video where he was actually demonstrating
How he does it. Yeah.
I think I seen one like several years ago. I don't remember at this point, but I could just be making that up.
We can add that to the show notes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we can certainly add his subdivisions rooftop.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a lot of really cool roofing in there.
Yeah. That had the old brown bar, right? The thing the foot pedal or whatever.
Yeah, I think he had the foot pedal in there. He had the mounted electric for the solo. And
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'll make some affiliate links for the Ditto.
Oh yeah, good.
RC300 and the Roland SPD1.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Because that'll be good. Yeah, the Ditto is really cheap. It's like $60. I think I might pick it up just to play around with it.
Really?
Yeah, like you said, it's a good place to start, right?
Yeah.
If you can
just
master
having
that
one
thing,
channel,
then-
exactly. Yeah, I might get one myself.
Yeah,
But no, I'm saving up all my shekels for a new guitar, a new acoustic.
Ooh.
So that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's the Taylor Academy 12E. It's under $1,000 and it's getting great reviews.
Mm.
Taylor's
Hard to
great.
find though, but
Yeah.
they're all special order, and I don't want to buy any guitar unplayed, sight unseen.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Well, actually, I did do that when I picked up my my $99 one, but it's because
For $99.
Yeah,
Exactly.
sure, that would be a great guitar, but
Mm.
It could have easily not been, right?
So I have a bit of information. We should probably do about a show about this. The importance of having good file management when you do when you record at home. Because I had the last our extra, and I thought I'd like to maybe re-normalize it, kind of tweak it a bit.
Yeah.
So I open up the Cubase file, and all the audio is missing because all the audio tracks have been deleted.
Ooh, one of your assistants, perhaps.
Yes, I think it was,
Blame it on the help.
because I start off a song as a lick, and I don't know what it is, so I call it new thing or lurk, and then so I work on it for a while, and then this was like a couple of years ago that I did it, and so I think I actually saved the Cubase file as a new name, but that doesn't rename the audio files that it records. So it called. So when I was cleaning stuff up, because I wanted to clean stuff up for some reason, I looked at these files and went, oh, I guess I don't need these.
Guess you were wrong.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Never delete anything. I just buy bigger hard drives. That's all I.
Yeah.
Well, no, but the point is media management. Label it properly.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned in the TV biz, because when you do a show for a couple of years, every interview and what's not, like the less specific you are going in, the harder it is on the other end.
Yes.
Like if you go somewhere do an interview, take notes of the interview, label the tape, label the box that the tape's in, make a note of where all of this, because
Storage room it's in.
shows. Yeah, exactly. Because shows that I worked on,
Yeah.
there would be like a room in a basement full of raw tapes that have some really valuable interviews, but they're useless if they're not labeled.
That's what I like about the Cakewalk software. It used to be, back in the day, they used to have like a central audio folder where they would dump all the audio that you recorded into a central folder, or you could select per project audio folder. But now the default is per project folder, and that's it. So if you start a new project, you give it a name, it creates a folder in your documents. It creates a folder called audio, and it dumps everything that.
See, that's great. Like in Premiere. The editing software, you have a project where you can consolidate your project, and it takes just what's in the edit, not all the extraneous edit, just everything you used to make that whatever piece that you used, and it'll consolidate all that into a project. Then you can save somewhere else or mail to someone else, and because when you're dealing with video files as well, it gets quite huge. So to be very efficient in what you save is crucial, but it would work the same if the audio software had the same, because you might have like 12 guitar tracks, but only use one of them. Yeah. And so it'll just take the one that you used in the beginning, and it won't keep all your trash or your first or second attempts.
Cubase does the same thing as Cakewalk. You open up a new file folder, a new project, and it makes an audio folder. But when you do a save as, it doesn't. In a different location, it doesn't move all those audio files.
When you do a save as with Cakewalk, when you in the save box, there is a little checkbox that says make copy of all audio files. That's over. So you either check that or you don't check it if you don't want to move all or copy everything.
Yeah, that would be a very handy thing.
Yeah, I wonder if what is it? I use Logic has something like that. You'd think it would.
Yeah, it's pretty a normal thing to need, Yeah,
so, just a way to sort files. But that would be good to mention.
Yeah.
The other thing is always naming your tracks before you start recording, because the audio files are named after the track. So instead of track 1, track 2, track 3, you get vocals, backup vocals, guitar,
exactly, acoustic,
whatever, right? And your actual files.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Simple things like that. Well, I have a couple of songs with live drum tracks on them, and oh my God, just trying to figure out which, because they weren't named properly by the studio. Yeah. So I've been going through and trying to listen. Okay, is that the room mic? Is that the drum mic? Is that the snare mic? Is that like?
Well, because they always have bleed, so you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. They all have the whole playing on it, but why the fuck he used like 10 mics for a drum kit? I mean, for God's sake, Led Zeppelin, John Bonham used 4.
When I went to Don's home studio to record, he gave me I think 20 stems. He's got 3 room mics, 2 overheads, 2 on the snare, 1 on each tom, 1 for each cymbal, 1 for a hi-hat top, hi-hat bottom, kick, 2 on the kick. I think 3 on the kick.
Holy!
He's got.
You're only going to place it in one.
Half the time he just mutes the 2 of them because the one that's like 2 feet away from it is like a perfect mic for kick.
Yeah.
It's just this enormous stack of stuff he's got.
The problem with options. If you have too many options, it's just
It's true.
It paralyzes
you have way
you.
too many options.
yeah. Like you can get great mics. You can get a great drum sound with 2 mics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's what Glenn Johns was talking about when he recorded the Led Zeppelin albums. He did it with three or 4 mics. He accidentally discovered it. There's also Hugh Padgham, who did XTC. That's where he started out. He had a really good drum miking technique. But there's this great XTC documentary called "This Is Pop."
Oh, I want to see that.
Oh, you gotta watch. It's great because it's funny and it's kind of heartbreaking and it's also really informative. Because it's funny in that because Andy Partridge is such a funny, dry sort of guy, and he takes on the idea that we're doing a rock doc, and he'll say something like, "Now cut now to some keyboard player giving his opinion," and they cut to Rick Wakeman saying something silly, and so they kind of fuck with the format of the rock documentaries. But he's also a little bit on the spectrum, so he is brutally honest about everything. Anyway, but Hugh Padgham, I think, is on there and talking about the drum sound, and a lot of it had to do with the room. It was recorded the drums in a stone room at this recording studio.
Oh, nice.
And it was just his way of recording that because after they did Making Plans for Nigel, the whole band kind of went, we want to make a drum album. And so they found someone who could really make the drums sound big. And then said after that, like, because they were on tour with the Police, and the Police were like, okay, who recorded your album? We want to use them. And it just, that became the sound of the 80s, right?
Yeah.
The drum sound of the 80s.
Where do you check out that documentary?
It's been on HBO or on the Movie Network or whatever. That's where I found it. But it should be pretty widespread now. It's called XTC This Is Pop.
This is Pop, yeah. It's one of their songs.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a great app called Just Watch,
Yeah.
and you put into it, it's justwatch.ca, and you put in what streaming services you access, and then if you're looking for a certain something, it'll tell you where it's playing.
Oh, that's smart.
That's cool.
Consolidate everything.
I was doing it the old-fashioned way, trying to do it myself.
Like, was that on Prime or was that on Netflix?
Exactly.
We're always doing that.
So what's it called again, Phil?
Just Watch. It has an
.ca?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because all I'm getting is watches. I'm kidding.
It's you and me. We're doing the thing.
Actually, no. I did. It just comes out luxury watches, so it must be .ca. I mean .com. Because I did .ca and I got luxury watches. Yeah. All your streaming services in one app. Okay, search for movies. Well, it doesn't seem to. It's not got a great search engine. When I typed in "This Is Pop," I'm getting "This Is Us," "This Is Spinal Tap," "This Is England," "This Is the End," "This Is It."
You also
The end was hilarious.
Oh, got it, found it. XTC, This Is Pop. Not available.
Oh,
Yeah, not everything's available, unfortunately.
maybe the public library has it.
Oh, that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I don't know who. It might have been a BBC program or something. I will endeavor to find it in an illicit fashion and then share it with you that way.
That would
Because
be
it's
awesome.
really worth watching. Yeah.
Very good.
Because as someone who works in the film and television industry, I'm firmly against pirating and know exactly how to do it.
That's right. I know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, I have a friend who's basically pirated like all of the BBC.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, she's got like thousands of.
Oh, what was there's one, there's a series, I think it's got a name in it, like W18 or something.
1WA.
Yes, that one.
brilliant. I've watched it a couple of times, and Heather and I are watching it again. If you can, Neil, it's you should start off. It's a Britcom called 2012, and it's about putting on the Olympics in London, 2012 Olympics, and it's just, if you've ever worked in a large company, it's great. But 1WA is on Netflix, I believe.
And if you've ever worked in public television, it's even better.
Well, just look for This Is Pop on the Toronto Public Library. They don't have it.
Okay. Look at us all multiple researching and searching. They don't have it on my favorite stealing site. I'll have to do better in the future.
I'll ask my friend. She could probably get it.
Right. I'll try. Well, I'm currently hooked up to my fancy computer system with my new operating software. Because
you get a new computer?
No, I just I put a new hard drive in my old Mac Pro. So I got an SSD drive, and then because it's faster and I upgraded the memory, I could put, I'm running High Sierra on a Mac Pro from 2008.
Nice.
Which if you go online, it says you can't do it. But I talked to one of the guys at work, and he said, well, here's an emulator. Here, you do this. And he gave me some software to kind of bypass it. So, yeah, I'm running software that is way far advanced, but I've juiced up my machine enough that it's not a problem.
Nice. Yeah.
My computer was crashing all the time before.
Yeah.
I finally figured out what it was. My SSD drive was old, and it had like bad sectors on it and stuff. So stuff was, especially when I tried to pipe audio into Skype or whatever, it just like buggered out. So I got one of those NVMe drives, which is like 6 times the speed of the fastest SSD thing. Is like ridiculously fast.
Really? I didn't even know
Windows starts in like 12 seconds. It's like,
oh, wow. I was all chuffed out an SSD drive.
SSDs are last century, man.
How much was the drive?
It was $200 for a 1 terabyte drive.
Really?
Not bad.
Wow, that's cheap. Wow.
But I bet they don't make them for Macs.
No, they do. They do.
Oh, really?
It depends if your Mac is compatible with it. My motherboard is only about 3 years old, so it was compatible.
Well, it's like what? It's like USB.
My computer's 12 years old. Oh my god.
Yeah, no. The technology is only about 5 years old.
Neil, is it SATA or is it a SATA 2 or something? Or?
No, it runs on PCI Express. That's why it's fast. SATA, as I understand it, was like it was sort of jammed into the IDE kind of interface type thing, so it was never ideal.
SATA 2 was better, yeah.
But the PCI Express 4 times, it's blazing. Yeah,
Mike, you can get it. You can get a PCI Express card.
You can, and I don't know how it works for Mac, but my understanding was if it's not supported on the motherboard, you can't boot from it.
Right.
Right. If you get the card, it's fine. You can use it for storage. You can use it for your swap disk or whatever like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've got a pretty good. No, the big issue for me is I was really hoping I could upgrade Logic, but I can't. I'm sort of caught between. So I've got an old version of Logic 9 on my older operating system on this computer. I thought, well, maybe I can get a more recent one, but you can't download an older version. They don't do legacy. Whereas they do have a free trial of the latest one, but I need to be 2 steps higher.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah. I thought. Oh, I'm paying all this money. I'll get to use Logic. Like it'll be way better. I can have 20 tracks, but not the case.
Why are you limited in track count?
I think if I get up over like 15 with a lot of effects, it starts to get buggy. But that's not really my kind of music, so I don't run into that a lot.
So
actually, it's the 2 with the drum tracks, the 2 songs with drum tracks. That's the one where it gets a bit buggy because I've got like 10 drum tracks plus.
But with a new SSD, it's probably going to be different, you know?
Well, yeah, but I can't run Logic on my SSD hard drive. I got to reboot on my different startup disk on the older one. So
that's what it looks like.
Barracuda. Wow.
Yeah, it's literally like a little stick.
Nice. Yeah.
It's like
and does it
cable, no SATA cable.
So is that replacing your hard drive?
That's replacing my system drive. Yes, I got Windows programs and my samples all on that.
All on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've still got it's only half full.
Yeah, well, it's
I
terrible.
still got a 6 terabyte drive for my.
Yeah, I
other.
forget what the size of. Well, I could probably find out what the size.
Yeah, it's like the size of. It's like less than the size of a RAM stick. It's like tiny,
That's crazy.
ridiculous.
Well, what did I get? So, yeah, I had a 1 terabyte SSD drive.
Yeah.
That's what I got for this, and then I got, like I said, the memory. So I'm like 64 gigs of memory or something. So that helps speed things up too. Which I'm, considering how technically inept I am, that I thought it was pretty good that I installed all that myself, and the thing
it's
still
great.
works.
Yeah.
That's the thing about a Mac Pro. They're like Fisher Price. They're like, they're so simple to upgrade.
Yeah, true that. And to be honest, like if my SSD hadn't crapped out, I would still be running on SSDs. Like
Yeah, because it was a problem that made you change it, not.
yeah, it was my system backup software that alerted me I can't read from this disk anymore. I'm like, why not? And I did a surface scan. It's like, oh, bad sector. I was like, crap.
SSDs die in a really unpleasant way too.
This thing was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
So that's problematic. So what do I have on here I need to save? Not that much actually, because I've got my drives partitioned. So like all my music and all my audio files and all my movies are on separate drives.
Yeah, me too.
And as long as the hard drive is spinning often, it's healthy. It's when you don't use them, they die like within a year. If you like had stuff on a drive and put it away, within a year, it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, I usually, if I'm using one, I'll sell it or I'll ditch it or whatever.
I went to a seminar about Red Camera, which was at the time the camera, and it was a digital camera, and it was crazy. Like they had just lit it with a fluorescent light, and then they twiddled these knobs and things, and they could make it look like moonlight, or they could make it like. But after all this talk about how digital was the way of the future, they still say, yeah, but you need to save your media on tape, because the hard drives won't last forever. So they have a special, really expensive, type of tape. But yeah, they're still saving all their movies and media to videotape ultimately.
I did not know that.
That's freaky.
Well, that was what they were recommending anyway. I don't know if people, do.
Right.
Well, gentlemen, I think it's time for supper.
It is.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
right, guys.
show. Thank you.
Y'all-
And
we got Alice Cuba next week.
oh, amazing. Who's hosting?
I guess I am.
Probably. Yeah, take a look at that short film.
I did actually. It was really cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Really humble. Hey.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Good night.